This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles, on the Rockstar Radio Network. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money, and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author You and the Book Shepard on the Rockstar Radio Network. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, top of the day to everyone, and as we go into springtime, which is where I like to say we're just a few days away from spring right now, that as we go into springtime, we really start thinking about doing some things different, coming out of the wintertime, really getting out there and being more aggressive with our books. And I can't think of anyone better to have with me for our hour than John Kramer. And John, if you don't know his name, shame on you. But John is the author of the acclaimed 1001 Ways to Market Your Books. And anybody who wants to be seriously successful, anybody who wants to market one book, but why not go for mega thousands of books, has to have his book, or I call it a tome, on their bookshelf for reference. Now, it's not something you're going to go to sleep and read at night, but it is the hands-on, here's how to do it, and really get your books out there. And I feel so fortunate. Number one, he's one of my co-authors on the book Show Me About Book Publishing, How to Survive and Thrive in Today's Literary Jungle. But he is the acknowledged expert on book publishing and marketing, and he operates a company called Open Horizons, and he's based in New Mexico. He's also the editor of one of the best e-zines out there, and the Book Marketing Update newsletter. He's ran it for over 20 years, and it is just loaded with tons and tons of information that every author and every aspiring author and everybody who thinks they know everything about it, and they don't need to ask anything else, which means they're foolish because of this morphing market today in this thing called publishing, needs to be a subscriber to. John also does tons of online programs and webinars, and he will be one of he's our kickoff presenter at the Author You Extravaganza on May 3rd here in Denver, Colorado, where he is going to be doing a full-blown dinner workshop starting in the late afternoon on May 3rd through the evening on marketing ebooks as well as traditional books. And with that, let me welcome John to the air. Hi, John.
Hi, Judith.
How are you?
Good. I'm looking forward to having dinner with you during that time.
We have actually several dinners I think we get to do during that time. So, John, what's old, what's new, what's working and what's not working, and what needs to be introduced in marketing of books today?
Well, probably the oldest thing right now is the Amazon Bestseller campaigns. People have sort of poo-pooed them, saying they're not working anymore. And I think the old model of the Amazon Bestseller campaign is sort of out the window. The whole thing of, accumulating a whole bunch of gifts to try to get people to buy your book, and then give them, $1,000 worth of bonuses. I think that people soured on that because, too many people were buying the books to get the bonuses, and after a while, all the bonuses started to be the same. And were outlandish, and that the price was $30 when it's actually only a $5 value, or they were giving it away free somewhere else anyway. So and people just got tired of those. But I think the idea of driving sales, doing a campaign to drive sales to Amazon is still a good idea. I just think the methodology has to change.
Well, and so what do you suggest in some strategies for that?
Well, actually, right now I'm really hot on doing blog tours. But doing
me too.
really good ones, not the humdrum, 10, 20, or 30 blogs, but doing, either superstar blogs or a mega blog tour, which is where you're doing 75 to 200 blogs. Because you want to create an event, you want to create excitement. And that you can only do if you're doing, a superstar blog tour or a mega blog tour. But then
are you going to talk about how to put together a superstar blog tour when you're at the extravaganza in May?
I am going to talk about that, yes.
Ooh, that rocks. So you're saying, John, not doing just a couple of blogs, but 100, 200 blogs?
Well, that's one way. Or,
okay.
The other way, of course, is to do the superstar blog tour where, you're really aimed at the high-traffic blogs that already have like 10,000 to 100,000 subscribers that eagerly await for every new post that comes on their blog. Mm-hmm. And one of those posts could be yours.
Okay.
And, I know some people that, with just one blog post on a superstar blog, got 4,000 people coming to their site the next day.
Well, that's très cool. And then, this would be so much of where you would be into volume, you would be into quality, correct?
Yeah, so you choose one or the other, depending on, what relationships you have and, are there any superstar bloggers in your particular category? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're doing crocheting, are there any superstar bloggers in crocheting? I don't know.
Well, let me give you an example. One of my clients I worked with, she just came out with her book called Finding Life on the Mat. And she is a quirky, off-the-wall writer. She's like the Irma Bombeck of yoga. And she is a yogi. She was identified as the top yogi in the over 50 in Colorado. She came out with this really fun, outrageous book, and it got picked up by something called, she wrote about something and someone connected with a blog called The Elephant Journal saw it. They have now brought her on as a columnist. The Elephant Journal has over 800,000 followers. Her first column created over 1,000 book sales. Now, is that cool? I think that's cool.
Yeah, and that's what, the Elephant Journal is definitely a superstar blog. It's one of those really high-traffic websites that really can have impact. Mm-hmm. And that's, so if you get even one superstar blog, you can make an incredible impact. Think what happens if you can do 10 or 15 of those superstar blogs.
So how do you find them? Where do you put in superstar blogs in Google, or how do you go? I mean, that would be cool, huh?
Yeah, if you did that, you'd probably find my website. Because I don't, a lot of people call them A-list bloggers. That's another term for it. And it's basically high-traffic blogs. And you can definitely, type into, the way that I find them, one of the best ways, I think, is just to type into Google top crocheting blogs. Something like that. Because somewhere on the Internet, somebody has written about the top 50 food blogs, or the top 25 travel blogs, or the top, Internet marketing sites, or something like that. There's somebody that's made a list like that. And those are smart people, because it's one of the best ways. Actually, one of the really cute ways to connect with superstar bloggers is to create a list of your own. Because I guarantee you they're tracking who's writing about them.
So within your own blog, you write a blog about the ones that you recommend for all your followers to follow. That kind of thing. Okay, great idea.
The top 10 crocheting blogs, or the top 50, or the hot, blogs, something like that. So when you're trying to find those, you type it into Google and say top food blogs or hot food blogs, and somebody's made the list.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean you can't make one also, but, somebody out there has made the list, and that's one of the best ways to start to find out and identify who those bloggers are. Now, ideally, if you're writing in the subject, you already know 3 or 4 of them. Because you should, because you've been tracking them, you've been reading their stuff, you've been actively involved already. You probably subscribe to them.
Exactly. Certainly in publishing, there's certain ones I follow all the time.
Yeah, and there are some of us, that there's a certain number of internet marketing blogs that I follow all the time, just to find out what's new, what's hot, things like that. I love. Oh boy, now I'm going blank on them. I can't remember the name of the one that I get the email from every day. But I do Seth Goldens' marketing blog. I get that every day. I get stuff from Mashable every day. And there are a certain number, of emails I get every day from some of the people I want to follow. If they blog every day, and some of them do, some of them don't.
Mm-hmm. And Seth Goldens, who is also someone else I follow as well, his are not long blogs.
No, he tends to keep a fairly short post, but sometimes he does do a long one. Mm-hmm. But the neat thing is that Seth is very generous, just like some of the other top bloggers are. And the other, last month I got an email from him. I subscribed to one of his emails, and he said, he had this really great email about how to price an ebook. And I emailed back to him. I said, Seth, can I reprint this on my blog? And he said, sure, go for it. And so I put it up on my blog, and, I get something like 1,000 people coming to see that post on my blog.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are people that have Seth Golden, alerts. Google alerts and things like that. So they came to my website to read about what he was doing. Of course, the topic was just perfect for me.
It's perfect. And why don't you share with our listeners what he recommended on some of the pricing? Do you remember?
Oh, boy, you sure? You wanted to ask me that.
Okay, well, we'll get a chance. We'll be right back, and we can tell it after our break. How's that? Okay, we'll be back. This is Judith Briles with John Kramer.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Is there a book in you or another? Author U will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. Author U brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through Author U's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, Author U is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join Author U today through its website at authoru.org. Follow Author U on Twitter at AuthorU and on Facebook at Author U, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. Author U, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
Change the way you publish online. WaveCloud is a new form for authors to manage all their books' information in one place from start to finish, including pricing and listing summary. To learn more or sign up for email updates, visit wavecloud.com.
Every picture tells a story. And it's a truism that people do judge a book by its cover. Nick Sellinger and NZ Graphics have been in the business of producing superior graphic cover design and interior layout for self-published authors, independent and traditional publishers for years. He has developed a reputation for excellent work, fast turnarounds, and best of all, affordable pricing. NZ Graphics also produces ebooks and book marketing materials such as posters, sell sheets, postcards, bookmarks, business cards, logos, and more. Books designed for his clients have won multiple book awards, including Best Book Award by U.S. Book News, multiple Evie Awards from the Colorado Independent Publishers Association, Indie Book Awards, the San Francisco Book Festival Award, and Freedom Medal Award from Valley Forge. Visit www.nzgraphics.com or call 303-985-4174 for more details about making your book the success it should be. Mention that you are an FOJ, friend of Judith's, and that you heard about NZ Graphics on your guide to book publishing.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, so as we exited, John was, because I wasn't paying attention, and I didn't see my cue from my producer, that he was telling us about the some of the tips on, or we were going to talk about, hopefully he remembers this, some of the tips on pricing of ebooks that Seth Goldens was talking about, or maybe just what John recommends. How's that, John? You be the expert today. And I mean, that's what this is about. So what are some of these tips?
Well, the key strategy, that he was recommending is that the newer you are, the less that people know about you, the lower the price of the ebook is going to be, because you want to introduce yourself to the audience, and so you have to lower the risk that they have to take in order to read what you have to offer. But if you're publishing, from a big publisher, and they're selling the book at $22.95 hardcover, then doing it, a $12.95 book isn't so bad, even in ebook, because it's higher priced, because most ebooks are under $10 because of the way that Amazon Kindle encourages publishers to sell between that $2 and $10 price range.
Okay.
By giving them higher discount.
Well, but
and more money. So most publishers are pricing in that range, but when you're first launching a big book and you spent a lot of money on an author and your marketing, then you could go higher because the demand is there. You've created it. The person's going on TV, or they're doing an Amazon bestseller campaign, or they're doing something that promotes excitement, gets people interested. So then the price should be higher. But at some point, you start to lower that price as the book gets a little bit older.
All right. So first of all, you have a lower price if you're the new kid on the block and you want to do it as a front, open the door, tease, get to know me, and then you can raise it as it goes along. Secondly, if your book it's getting long in the tooth, let's say, that you, or long in the ink, may be better to say, that if you have that you would lower the price just because it's got some years on it. But right. let me ask you about the percentages, because one of the things, the reason why people has all rushed to keep it at that below the $10 mark is that Amazon, and we might as well use Amazon since they account for 70% of these sales, that Amazon pays 70% out to the author publisher on those. What are they paying for the over the $10 mark?
It's 30% again.
All right, so that's...
So pretty quickly, you don't want to have any books between about the $10 and $15 range, because it doesn't make sense. You're losing money as a publisher or an author because you'll make more selling it for $9.99 than you would at $15 because you get a higher percentage.
And Amazon is the only one that makes money then. Amazon makes the money.
Yeah. Now,
good old Jeff Bezos.
if I ever put 1,001 Ways to Market Your Books, the entire book up on Kindle, it's going to be $27.95.
And it should be. As you know, I felt your book should be more than $27.95 in the print edition.
But I think there's some books that should not be lower than what they are because you can't lower the value of them. But what I'm going to do is, it's one of those things that you have to get around to, is actually create mini books out of 1,001 Ways and do 5 or 10 of those that will sell for probably $7.99.
Well,
So
I think that actually is a smart idea.
Yeah, the chapter on publicity is a 100-page book formatted the way it is in 1,001 Ways. If I format it for the normal ebook standard, it'll be a 200-page book.
Well, why don't you do that, John Kramer?
I know, it's just I got to get around to it. And it shouldn't take that long, but it's, everything else I'm doing, I'm going, whoa, when do I, but it is something I plan to do. And, I think that's smart. And I think even almost every book author would be smart that break up their books into smaller ebooks for the Kindle platform, in addition to offering the entire book on the Kindle platform. And nothing prevents you from doing that. Exactly.
And you know what? I just did that same strategy with one of my clients who has this massive book. It's a biggie on the adrenal fatigue syndrome. He has a huge market. He's globally known. He's had over 1 million visits to his website. I mean, he's big. And we've done the book. It's all laid out. It's got a smashing killer cover that we really was thinking internet sales. And we're creating a series, and we've taken that book and divvied it up for the mini book plus Kindle into 5 sections of each one that'll go at $7.95.
It makes perfect sense, especially if let's say you have a book on a cookbook even. Let's say it's a cookbook, a bread cookbook. But you have special chapters on breads for diabetics and breads for people wanting to lose weight and breads for something else. Well, why not break those chapters up and do a special book just for diabetics? Because there are a lot of diabetics that would want that and not know they'd want the entire bread book because most diabetics would say, well, bread is out of my it isn't in my diet anymore. Or I minimize it. But if there's a bread book for diabetics, even a mini book, I'm going to buy it because I'm diabetic and I still love bread.
And so what breads can I eat and how can I eat them and how much can I eat them and all those kind of things.
You can target your audience by excerpting from your book the specific things that they need. So that means that you can open up your book to, a lot different markets. In fact, you could also do it's sort of like the chicken soup for the soul, breaking it down into for women and for pets and for soldiers and for, vets and everything else. You can do the same thing with your book. You can take portions of that book and create a mini book for a target audience. So I could do, say, 1,001 Ways to Market Your Books for speakers. And just take out the parts of the book that are really, really relevant to speakers.
Or add a little section to it, or certainly a certain introduction that ties into it.
Yeah, so there's so many variations that you can do that ebooks and the Kindle platform and the other platforms that are out there make it so easy to do and really target your audience in a way that you couldn't possibly do it if you were trying to do that many print books.
Well, I can tell you, at the extravaganza, we're going to have Don Pacheco, who owns Book Brewer here in Colorado. He is going to be doing a whole program. He has developed a killer plan that Huffington Post is using that they are selling a gazillion ebooks off of, and even the Denver Post, and he is going to kind of unravel and reveal that. So I think you'll pay attention to that.
I will pay attention.
I mean, he's really put it together. And
I'm
Daniel,
coming just for that. Then I don't care if I'm speaking or not.
There you go. There you go. And Daniel Hall's going to do a whole session on advanced Kindle laydown. So you pay attention to that one, because that's what you're going to do with this book.
Yeah.
So we have a huge amount going on. All right. So what are some of these other new things? Let's address it. I know we're going to be coming up pretty close to a break again, but I would like to get into this whole evolution that's happening with the blog tours. And some of the ways to maybe, you're finding your partners, and then some steps on how do you align with them? How do you approach them? Because I think we need to look at that. Does that make sense?
That does.
Okay. So what would be we've gone into our Google search. We did that, and we put in top diabetic bread blogs or whatever it was. And we came up with the Big 10. So what's my next step?
Well, your next step is to start to create relationships with them. And one of the key ways to do that, and it still works if you do it, well, is to comment on their blogs. Mm-hmm. Because the top bloggers are still reading their comments, especially the first 5 or 10 that come in. Mm-hmm. And so one of the key things to do is, if you know the standard publishing timing for a blog, and a lot of blogs do it very specifically at a certain time, start to comment on that blog right away. I got into be the first commenter on a Forbes blog just last night, because I got the alert. I signed up to get the alerts from the blog that when they post, I get a RSS feed right away saying, "Hey, it's out." And then I went and commented, and I got to be the first.
Mm-hmm. John, maybe you want to talk about the RSS feed. I have actually signed up for a lot of blogs I never get alerts on and ask for them. What goes on with that? And it's not in my spam file.
I don't know what's going on there, except that you may just be signing up for the RSS feed, which goes into your whatever RSS reader that you signed up for.
So we'll figure that one out. All right. Well, we're going to be back with lots more in those blog tours with the guru of marketing, John Kramer. I'm Judith Briles. You're listening to Your Guide to Book Publishing.
This is Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on Your Guide to Book Publishing with Judith Briles, we will provide you a discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
Do you need postcards that make a statement? How about business cards, flyers, brochures, or NCR forms? Tuvets is the solution for all your printing needs. Providing services specially designed for authors, we deliver exceptional quality colored printing. Most important of all, we specialize in reducing your printing costs. No more waiting. No more standing in lines at your local printer. Online proofing. With our pricing tools calculator, you can get instant quotes on all your printing products, as well as shipping rates all over the United States. Just a few clicks of the mouse and you're on the way to discovering how easy and convenient online color printing should be. Contact our friendly, human account representatives. We recognize that you want answers, not voice prompts. Visit our website at www.tu-vets.com or call 1-800-894-8977.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, what we always like to do at the bottom of the hour is to bring on one of my favorite groups of people, and Dave Raymond is with Thompson Shore, which is just one of the premier book printing groups in the country. And every time we've had a book printed by Thompson Shore, it's always been stellar. The authors have been ecstatic, and Dave's with us to give us a tip on pages and counts and everything else. Welcome, Dave.
Hello, Judith. Thanks for having me on.
What's new in the printing world?
Well, I just wanted to share a little tip about page count in a publisher's book and how that relates to getting a good price from the printer.
Oh, good idea.
I realize that when the author is writing a book, that page count may not be one of those concerns during that writing process, but as the publisher, if you can try to target a page count that is divisible by 32, that will get you the best price from any printer. If you can... some printers, if you have a large quantity, for example, I'm going to use 4,000 or 5,000 books or more, they will probably print that on a web press. And in those cases, a 48-page divisible quantity might even work a little more efficiently, but all of us work off of a 32-page. If your page count is divided by 32, that's the best price that we're going to offer you, the publisher, to do your books, whether it be from a small quantity to a large quantity. And some of the reasons there, Judith, is that because signatures is what make up the guts of the book, the text. Say, for example, a 320-page book is 10 signatures, with each signature made up of 32 pages. Now, if that 320-page book was, let's just say, 328 pages, that adds an 8-pager to the book. And an 8-page signature requires a completely different press, a completely different size sheet of paper, a completely different folding machine. So you can see why that little 8-pager adds extra cost, and sometimes significant cost, to the price of a book. And the odd thing in this business is usually you think the more pages, the more it's going to cost you. Well, using that same 320-page book as an example, if you took 8 pages away and made it a 312-page book, that book is still going to be 4 to 5% higher in price than your 320-page book because of those odd signatures that it's creating.
So this signature for our listeners, the signature is that 32-page count.
Yes.
And for all our listeners also, they need to understand that you start counting those pages from the first page, the title page, which is your front matter, all the way through to that last page, whether it's an index or about the author or fill in the blank.
Yes, very good point. Thank you for clarifying that.
So what our authors need to do is, as someone who writes a lot, that we really have to think about, we don't think about page count until we're really getting up there when I start looking at it, when I'm working with them. And what we need to do is maybe if to bring it up with that divisibility of 32, maybe you add in 4 or even 6 pages, which would be 3 back to back. That would just maybe, if especially for nonfiction, just write notes at the very end of it and encourage the author, the buyer to, that's how they can put notes in, because I actually write in books. So that would be okay with me, and that could really reduce their cost of that print run, correct?
Yes, correct. That's an excellent example.
There you go. Okay. There's some wise advice from Thompson Shore. Dave is going to be at the extravaganza in May, and it'll give you a chance to really bring your projects forward and talk to him face to face so he can give you some ideas, his savvy advice. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Judith.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right. Back to John. And we were talking, before we jumped off, we were going to jump into blog tours, but you had some more ideas you wanted to share on the RSS, if I recall correctly.
Yes. One of the ways that you can actually make sure that you notice right away when somebody blogs is to do an RSS feed into your Twitter accounts that you tweet when they post. And you can automate that process using a wonderful service called Twitter Feed. And I discovered that when I found out that I would publish a blog post, and right away my phone next to me would beep saying somebody just tweeted about me, and I look at the phone and somebody's already tweeted the blog post like seconds after I'd done it, and I'm going, this person's stalking me, but in a good way, because I noticed her right away then, and she's still doing that. And what she did is through Twitter Feed, she set up an automatic post into Twitter every time that I posted to my blog.
So every time, and how often do you do a blog, John?
Well, I'm trying, in the last few months, with my book marketing bestsellers blog at blog.bookmarket.com, I'm doing it almost every day. But I'll quiet down on that again. I already am a little bit. Because that's, doing one a day is a lot of work, I found out. So I'll probably do 2 to 3 a week as standard operating procedure.
So for our listeners, that's blog.bookmarket.com to sign up.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And when we did a show that, if our listeners who are picking this haven't listened to it, we did it with Joel Friedlander, who is known as the Bookman, on how to create rock and roll blogs. And Joel has 40,000 followers on his blog. He actually does it 6 times a week. He takes Saturday off.
Oh, what a wicked man.
Yeah.
He should be taking Sunday off. Oh, no, wait. He's Jewish, probably.
Yeah, he is, but I suspect that he's probably writing several up at a crack. He's an old newspaper dude, and he knows how to crank out a column, really fast.
One of the neat ways to do that, and I started doing that too, if you want to blog every day, is to write a series of them. Sit down and spend an afternoon writing all your blog posts for the entire week, and then just schedule them in. Because you can do that with any of the blogging platforms, And then you just schedule it in so that then you don't have to think about it. It's going to be posted on the day that you want it to, at the time you want it to, because you can schedule it in. You can do that through WordPress. You can do it through Blogger. You can do it through TypePad.
John, do you have a favorite time of the day that you recommend blogs go out, information goes out?
No, I really don't. I know that with Twitter, the hot time of the day is from about 8 a.m. to noon Eastern Standard Time. So that might be a good time, especially if you do have people that are using Twitter feed to tweet about your blog, to have the blog post scheduled for that time as well.
So they're just there. Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, what else have we got going on in the new land? So let's be. I guess that's where it's the blog tour is really the big one. So we've identified how to find these top tours. We're going to develop some kind of a relationship with them. You're going to follow and read it. How do you propose? Do you ask them to do a write-up recommendation of your book, or do you say, could I do a guest blog? What kind of things would you be looking for?
It totally depends on the kind of campaign you're doing and the kind of book you're doing. For example, if you're doing novels, you're writing fiction, it's tough to do guest blog posts about your novel. You can certainly be interviewed, you can certainly have the book reviewed, but to write a guest blog post for 30 or 50 or 100 blogs about your process of writing or something, because what are you going to write about when it's fiction? You can certainly share an excerpt from the book, but do you do that with every blog? Then what happens? So it gets complicated when it's fiction. So you're going to probably go for the interview or the book review. But if it's nonfiction, you probably want it to be a guest post.
Right, so I actually, here's an idea for your listeners. Mara Pearl, we did a blog tour, which she got in front of 17 million potential readers. She did over a month time. She's a fiction writer. She has a fictional Central Coast, California coast town. And so she went out and she kind of hooked into blogs that were big, superstar blogs, most of them, but she also tied into ones that would be pick up the theme of the lighthouse, or themes around the coast, or themes around artists, because that was her protagonist. She did that, and it seemed to work effectively. So anyway, more coming back. This is Judith Briles. We had one more segment with the amazing John Kramer. You're listening to Your Guide to Book Publishing.
This is Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Writing and reading are moving to the cloud. WaveCloud represents a whole new community for writers and readers to connect, communicate, evaluate, and share. Writers hone their craft and build their business. Readers build their favorites. Sign up for updates at wavecloud.com.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the Book Shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher, or by a publishing service provider, or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the Book Shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today, 303 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207. Or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepard and on Facebook at The Book Shepard.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, boy, has this hour whizzed by, so to speak. We have another 12, 14 minutes with the amazing John Kramer, and we're talking about a variety of different strategies to really skyrocket your book sales through creative, through clever, through hip marketing. And it's the great news is what John's talking about is free. It's internet, what we're talking about. And now you can hire people to do some of these things. And John, maybe you have some comments on some of the people who do assist authors with their strategies in marketing sales. What do you think about that?
I'm not sure what you're asking there. I mean, there are people like me that coach people. There are people like you that hold their hands.
I coach.
That's two different things, because I can help people and in 1 hour tell them what they need to do in terms of marketing their books. But you know that your hand-holding takes much more than an hour.
Yeah, it does. But my goal, and I think you and I have the same goal, is learn how to do this stuff yourself.
Yes, but you shepherd them through the process a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. If somebody wants shepherding, I send them to you, because what I do is I give them, here is the nuts and bolts of what your marketing plan should look like. Here are the things you should do. If you need to have somebody hold your hand through that process, talk to Judith.
All right. So, but let's say that you've given the game plan. I've done the hand holding. All right. So they may decide, you know what, I don't want to do all this work. I need to hire someone to actually do all the tweeting, do all the Facebooking, do all the blogging, do all my writing. How do they, that can get expensive, and how do they best use their time and money for that? And I guess we also need to say that, marketing a book is not free all the way. I mean, the internet is free to us, and use that, but you still have your time and energy, and if you're not going to put your time and energy into it, you're going to have to find someone to do that. Would that be correct to say?
That would be correct to say, but I really believe that the author is the best promoter. And I really believe that every author, I don't care if they're, a surgeon during the day, should spend, if they love their book, at least 20 minutes a day marketing the book themselves. And that means that they do a certain amount of work themselves. Possibly, in 20 minutes, you could probably write up a week's worth of tweets. And using a program like Social Oomph or
Hootsuite.
Hootsuite or some other programs like that, you could schedule those tweets out over the week.
That's right. So you have a presence.
Yes, and so then that's done. That job is done. That's one day. You've got all your tweets. You've got your presence. And then if you have your tweets feed into Facebook, you got your Facebook presence.
Mm-hmm.
And the neat thing is that so much of what the Internet does nowadays through things like Twitter feed or through Hootsuite or other things like that, you can automate it. You can schedule them. The blogging, you can write a series of blogs and then just, schedule them out. So that I find that, and the same is true if you're going to do, say, a video series, a short, 2-minute video series. Do them all at once. If you want to do, say, a weekly one, well, then once a month, sit down and do 4 of them.
So we're really talking about author time management.
Yeah.
And really doing that. And by the way, I am absolutely on the same page as you. When people ask me, well, how did you get on Oprah? I pitched her. How did you get on Good Morning America? Pitched it. How did you get on CNN all this time? I pitched it. How did you get a cover story on People magazine? I pitched it. You have to learn how to do this stuff yourself because you've got the passion.
Not just because, even if you're not going to do it, you still need to know how to do it so that you can judge whether or not somebody else that you hired is doing it well.
Well, and that's the truth, and that's where when people sign up for these very expensive publicity campaigns to support their book, what they don't understand from the get-go is there's no guarantees.
Yeah, but I know somebody that spent $30,000 with a big-time publicist and never held him accountable. He didn't ask for weekly reports. What's happening? Mm-hmm. So he never gave them feedback. He never got feedback. He basically put $30,000 into a garbage disposal because that's the results that happen, because you really have to work with your publicist. And if they're not going to give you a weekly report of what's happening and what the feedback is, you can't adjust the campaign. You can't help them to move it forward. And
so it's a money pit.
Yes, but it doesn't have to be. There's times when I would hire a publicist, even though I do my own work, just simply because, they have the contacts. A good publicist can get a story into somewhere quicker than I can because they have a relationship. The media trusts them to give them good stories. Mm-hmm. Whereas I have to build that trust with the media that they're going to rely on me being a good host,
exactly.
being a good guest.
Yeah, so there's merit.
Whoops.
There's merit when you've got someone who is well established, but you've got to set up your game plan and know how you're going to monitor whether it's paying back and then do that adjustment, as you said. John, we have a little bit over 4 minutes. So what are some of the things that we can leave our listeners with? And hopefully they will come in May to have the Kramer experience at the Author U Extravaganza in Denver.
Well, obviously the first step is to make a plan, and the second step is to work the plan. Mm-hmm. And to make the plan, don't create a plan that has 1,001 ways to market your books, because, I wrote the book that give people 10 ways to market their books, and that they pick and choose what would work best for them. Because if you try to do too many things at once, what happens? You don't do any of them well. You can't. Your attention spread through, too thin. So you pick 3, 4, 5, 10 is the maximum, I think, that people can do well. So you pick a few things to do, and you really focus in on them, and then build that up. And if it stops working, or you've reached the limit of what that can do, then you can add something new to the table. Realistically speaking, you only have to spend so much time getting distribution for your book, but you have to do that. Once that's set up, you shouldn't have to spend a lot of time, care, and feeding that. So then you can move on to the next step or to something else. But for a while, you have to spend attention on getting the distribution. The same with publicity. There's a certain amount of time that you have to spend just getting, a certain amount of publicity. But once you start getting publicity, a lot of other media will come to you. And so your workload stops again.
When the media starts coming to you, it dominoes, and others will continue to come. I've always found that.
Yes, and so, the key purpose that any author has to do and market their books is to get the first ball rolling, to get things going. Because 80% of books are sold by word of mouth. That means that somebody told somebody else, hey, I love this book, you got to read it, and so on and so forth. So your job as an author in launching a book is simply to get that word of mouth going, to build it up. And the best ways to do that is through PR, internet marketing, and speaking.
Well, and I'm a huge believer in speaking. I mean, it's how I moved all my books. It wasn't through bookstores. It was through the speaking channels.
Yeah, and that's the key. And in today's world, you don't have to travel to speak because what am I doing right now?
You're speaking.
And I'm lying in bed at the same time.
Hey, I'm doing an interview next week. I'm speaking. Here's a go. I'm speaking in St. Louis on the 13th, 14th, and 15th of next month. The NBC affiliate in a couple of the cities has already called and said, "Listen, we want to have you on our television show, and we'll do a Google Hangout." And I said, "Great, we'll do it." Oh, John, I wasn't even set up for Google Hangout, but I figured out I could do it. And so I'm all set up and ready to do it. But that's what a cool way to do that. And you can put it all together that way. I mean, there's just so way that we can globally market our books.
Yeah, you can do the same thing with, real-world radio shows. You can do most of those interviews from home.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
There's so many ways that you can efficiently market your books that, that really work and can produce results depending on your book and what works best for you. I mean, you can do, as you said, TV shows from satellite, and so you don't even have to be in New York to do an appearance in some of the New York shows.
Which is very cool, since I hate to travel as I used to. Well, John, it's been a great hour. It's gone by so fast.
I've had so much fun with you.
I look forward to having you come.
I am. I'm looking forward to just spending some good time with you, just running around or whatever.
Well, that sounds like a good idea. So for all our listeners, if you want to meet John Kramer in person, if you want to experience John Kramer, if you want to learn about his incredible ideas and what's happening and where's it going in the marketing of your books, you need to be at the Extravaganza in May in Denver. This is Judith Briles. You're listening to Your Guide to Book Publishing. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles.